Welcome to my presentation. My name is Joshua Ventresca, and I'm presenting a brief history of shells. This presentation is for my operating systems class, so perhaps you are one of my peers or my instructor. Regardless, welcome. Now, this is only going to be a condensed version of the history of shells. I'm covering from the very beginning up to Bash. I'm not going to cover really many variants, just the basics. We're going to start in Unix, and we're going to end in Linux. What is a shell? A shell, or command line interface, is a program that communicates with the kernel on behalf of the user through commands that it converts from text to operating system functions. So really, it's just a programming language that communicates between the user and the operating system. Now, it analyzes input and parses it. Symbols are expanded and commands are executed, just like in any programming language. This is just tailored for the command line. The first shell was the Thomson shell. It's also known as the Unix version 6 shell because it was released alongside Unix version 6 to colleges and universities, as well as being used inside Bell Labs. It's programmed by Ken Thompson of Bell Labs, introduced in 1971. That's 46 years ago. Now, it introduced some basic input-output handling through redirection, piping, sequential commands, and asynchronous commands. It notably lacked the ability to script. Now, the Bourne shell, aka SH, was developed by Stephen Bourne of Bell Labs in 1977. Now, this shell served both as a command line interpreter and as a scripting language. It introduced control flows, loops, and variables into scripting, but it notably lacked the ability to define functions, which is something that the next shell would have. The C shell, which was developed in tandem by Bill Joy, who was a graduate student at the University of California in Berkeley in 1978 for the Berkeley software distribution. It was a scripting language similar to C, so most veteran programmers were already familiar with it. It added many quality of life improvements over Bourne's, command history, aliases, file name completion, and others. Next came the Korn shell, or KSH. It was developed by David Korn of Bell Labs in 1983. It implemented the quality of life functions from the C shell, but it had more in common with the Bourne shell, and it had strong backwards compatibility with the latter. Now, it was originally proprietary software that was only used inside Bell Labs. I think there were a couple variants. I know there was at least the Korn Shell 93, which was still proprietary as, that's 14 years later. So, until it was finally released open source in 2000. Now lastly, we have the Born Again shell. It was developed in 1989 by Brian Fox, not Bourne, for the GNU project as an open source replacement for the originally proprietary Bourne shell. It incorporates features from the Korn and C shells, as well as the original Bourne shell. It is currently the system standard for Linux, and supports many other systems, including Windows. Its features won't be discussed, because we are learning about them in test out in this course, so you should know. If you don't know how Bash works, then you're kind of in trouble in this course. So as you can see, most shells, even the ones that are in use today, were programmed decades ago. It's a testament to the original coders that they're still in use today. Many of them have modern variants, but most of them remain largely unchanged and only have bug fixes and small additional incremental changes. In an industry that is ever-changing, the fact that these cornerstones of computing stay the same is something to both study and celebrate. And that's the end. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you coming out to here. Good luck in your courses, and I'll see you at graduation.